everyone, my name is Danielle and welcome to another episode of Board Game Bakes. This week we're going to feature the comic book bubble, which is by Advanced Primate Entertainment. And you may be like, Danielle, I've never heard of this game before. And that's because it's actually coming to Kickstarter on August 9th. So I'll put the link down below and you can hit notify me so this way you'll know when the campaign goes live. In the game, you're following the rise and fall of the comic book industry. You buy comics when they're cheap with the goal to hopefully sell them back when they're more expensive, so this way you get the most money. When I think of comics, there's that iconic picture where they have all the dots and stuff, so we're going to recreate some aspects of the game as a sheet cake, and we're going to do it all with little dots. Yes, your hand will hurt, but in the end it's worth it. You can pick whatever cake you want. We're going to cover it with a vanilla buttercream, and hopefully in the end it looks and tastes delicious. Let's get started. Are you ready for an action-packed bake? Start with your favorite cake. This is a vanilla box cake, which has the normal ingredients except that half of the water is substituted with milk. This will make it a little sturdier. Once it's prepared, pour into a 10 by 15 jelly roll pan that's been sprayed with cooking spray and dusted with flour. Spread it evenly in the pan, and you can even drop it a few times to get rid of any air bubbles. Bake it at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 17 minutes until it has a golden color on the top and a toothpick in the center comes out mostly clean. Let it cool completely before decorating, but this time we're going to leave it in your pan. The only other component for this cake is the icing, which is kind of nice and painful at the same time because you'll see. In a stand mixer, add in 3 sticks of softened unsalted butter, mix until nice and smooth. Add in 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and slowly add in 5 cups of powdered sugar. I go with the slowly method so that I don't inhale too much sugar. You want it pretty stiff, so you could add milk or heavy cream if you want to loosen it a bit, or more powdered sugar if it's too loose, or both as you play with the consistency. Take a small amount of the icing and spread it over the cake as a crumb coat / background for all your white bubbles on the cake. You could probably use a bit more frosting than I did, so this way you can make sure you get white all the way around to the edges. Now for the painful. Okay. One of the painful parts. This is more of an annoying painful as opposed to a physically painful. You need 13 different colors. Yes, 13. There are 6 different starting card types, and each one technically has 2 shades of the same color. It was really tempting to just make the 6 colors, but I trudged through them. Whichever bowl you want to divide between 7 bowls, and whichever one has the most you want to turn that into your black, since you're going to need a decent amount of that color. To get the rest of your colors, use your card as reference and make the lighter color first. Scoop half of that icing into a piping bag that has not been cut, so just a plain bag. Push the icing down the bag as far as it could go before hitting the air bubble. You could just fold the top over and store it in a tub or other container until you're ready to use it. Now you're going to add more of the same colors that you used to make the lighter color. You're going to make the darker color and put the rest of that icing into a new bag. So each one you'll have 2 bags of the same color. Did you read comic books growing up? I never read comics, but couldn't help appreciate some of the amazing art that some of them have. Phew! Now our icings are all done. Time for the physically demanding part. Dots. So many dots! I was inspired to try this by comic book images I've seen where the dots are very clearly present. To make decorating easier, use a dull knife or a sharpish tool to outline the shapes that you want on your cake. I made it so that there's a section for each of the different cards and our title in the middle. You don't want to have to try and move the images later. Once you're happy with how it looks, whip out your black frosting. Use scissors to cut a small amount of the tip off at the point of your bag. The more you cut off, the bigger dots you'll have. Outline the bubbles and the lines between your different work sections using your black. I started off with my dots too close together, but you want to leave a little gap so that you could tell that they are dots. And don't murder your hand. This was definitely a major hand cramp cake. Make sure that between each of these sections you stretch your hand out a bit so you're not stuck with a claw. Instead of doing dots for all the words, I recommend just writing them so this way they're cleaner and easier to manage the size. On to our 6 sections. I chose to start with a darker color in each of the sections, since I usually had more of the light color frosting when I created the frostings, and this way I'd be able to fill in any gaps that I potentially had left with the dark color, though I didn't use as much frosting as I thought I would. Start your action bubble and pipe straight lines of dots coming off the center. Ideally, each of the sections has 3 lines of dots at the top, and more were added as you got farther away to fill in the spaces. This method of decorating is reminiscent of pointillism, which is a style of painting in which you use dots and put them close together to see different colors and create images. In the comic book bubble, you aim to purchase comics that are cheap and sell them at their height of value to get the most money and points. If you grew up with comics, then no doubt, definitely check it out. Even if you did not, there's a unique mechanic and card drafting. There's a mix of strategy and luck since the cards enable you to manipulate the market value of genres. However, your friends can do that too. You could get really lucky and have everything work out, or watch as your goals crumble. Before or after you do your dark dots, make sure that you use the dark color to fill the words in your action bubble. Try to color all of the white. If it gets onto the black, you could always touch it up at the end. When you're done the dark lines, find the corresponding lighter color and fill in the white gaps. If you chose to only do 6 main colors, I would leave these sections as white and do the darker colors as I previously described. Once you're done a section, stretch your hand and grab the next color to make your way around the cake. Have there ever been games that you bought just based on the theme? This is a very strong comic book theme. As I've confessed before, especially after starting my YouTube channel, I'm drawn to the pretty games. Ooh, pretty. Or ones with a great table presence. Thankfully, most of the time I like the games too. As you go around, you may find yourself cutting the plastic bag a little more so your dots get bigger. It still looks just as nice, and it'll save yourself from some hand pain, since as the hole is bigger, you don't need to push as hard to get the icing through the hole. Dot 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 da dot 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 dot. Okay, you made it! The dots are done. Put your black icing in a bag filled with the number 1 tip and fix up all your black words. Now your cake is done and you're ready to dig in. Yay! Thanks for watching another episode of Board Game Bakes. As I mentioned before, if you want to learn more about Comic Book Bubble, hit the link below and that'll go to their pre-launch page and you can hit notify me so when it becomes available you're all ready. As I asked in the video if you like to read comics, I want to know what other things do you like to read. I currently am reading a book by Brandon Sanderson, so I like fiction, fantasy novels. I also like historical fiction, so what's your favorite thing to read? Let me know so I can learn more about you. Keep playing games and keep them sweet. Bye!